everybody, and welcome back to another episode of us talking randomly to you guys.
Yay!
Again, I'm Craig.
I'm Brian.
I'm Chris.
And this week we're going to be talking about the console wars. Or, moreover, next-gen systems and everything that's going to be coming up later on.
Yes.
And as always, we have one little disclaimer that we want to throw out there first. All right.
Yes.
Now, do we have any starting topics from you guys of what we're looking at?
Yes. I'd like to just jump
Go
right
right
into
ahead,
this
Brian.
one. I have one thing to start off with, and that is recently Xbox did their Xbox One reveal announcement, whatever you want to call it, panel, whatever. Not really panel, whatever it was. They did their thing.
Yeah.
And afterward, it was met with a lot of hostility for the most part in the gaming community. And I'm going to start this off right and go ahead and lose 80 to 90% of the audience right now. I'm going to buy an Xbox. So there it goes. So everybody's going to be like, no, and bail right now. But
If it's any consolation, I probably am too, about a year or two later.
okay.
granted.
Well, I got to be honest with you, Chris. I'm a little surprised, and only because of the fact that like I know you and we talk on Twitter and stuff, and I've seen a lot, that you didn't seem that, on board,
Yeah, it's waiting for a price drop. That's my point.
Do we have a set price? Did they throw some out there yet?
Nothing has been set, but the only thing that's been close to revealed is like a German site accidentally posted a euro, like a dollar amount for the PS4 that ended up being somewhere around $500 US.
Oh wow.
Whoa! PS4 is how much?
Well, it was a leak thing on a German site. It's never even been confirmed, but it was around $500 US. It was like 515, but it was around now.
Holy!
But here's the thing: is I guarantee you it's going to be pretty similar pricing for the Xbox.
Oh yeah, no, I could see that it would definitely be around that price point.
I'm expecting 500 for both. I will be pleasantly surprised if they're in the 400 range. I will be shocked if they're at 300.
Right.
Yeah. No.
You're saying at 300 or anything priced in the 300s?
In the 300s, I will be absolutely shocked.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would too. I'm expecting at minimum a $399 price tag on both.
Unless they did a stripped down version like they did in the other.
I don't think they will. I don't think
you
they
don't
will.
think they're going to do a strip down at all.
PS4 is sort of pointing towards that. Like rumors are sort of aiming it like it's going to have multiple SKUs, but the Xbox is pretty set at just one for now.
It looks like they just have one coming out.
The 500 gig hard drive version.
Right.
Okay. Well, before we get off into the specifics of the actual console wars, and use quotations on that one there, I guess, 'cause, whatever. But I would like to get into the hostility met toward the Xbox. Now, I want to make this very clear right off the bat. I own a Wii U already, but out of the two, I'm going to be going with the Xbox over the PlayStation 4 for my, I don't know what to call it, I guess, other system.
For your first delving into the...
Yeah, and I really hate to use this word, but I'm going to call them the competitive consoles in the sense that, like, competitive gaming, not like, when I think of Nintendo, I think of more games for, like, parties and, like, fun and that sort of thing.
The everybody console.
Yeah, exactly. But if I'm looking to play, like, an FPS, I'd play it on something like a PlayStation or an Xbox, and I am just going to be going...
Though I'm not going to go jump completely into this either. I think that the Wii or Nintendo is trying to get themselves a little bit more set up to where they can be accessible by that with the Pro Controller, and them bringing a lot of mature rated games.
Yeah.
Am I going to say that I don't think they're necessarily going to hit that market because I think everybody else has already made that decision.
Yeah, it'd be tough.
I still think they're going to get the segment of the market that they want on that one and make enough money on that where it's worthwhile for them.
On a hardware level, they sort of put themselves at the point where it's not going to be worthwhile for developers who are making these games on the PS4 and the Xbox One for them to make a cut down version of the game just for the Wii U. That's why a lot of developers are actually dropping out of Wii U development.
Yeah, and going off that, the Wii U sales, and I do want to get into this, we'll come back to the Xbox thing and why we think it's met with such hostility later, but the Wii U sales, I actually did some research before starting. I know, right? I actually did research. This is kind of a shocker. I know everybody's probably mouths agape at this point, but before the end of 2012, their sales were at 3.06 million. and then their goal was to hit 4 or close to 4 before the end of the year. That didn't happen, and as of April, this past April, they're currently sitting at 3.45. So, I mean, only 3.45 million, and the number is kind of stagnant at this point. Does this mean to you, Chris or Craig, that it's kind of a bad sign for the Wii U in general? I mean, for the fact that it's kind of stagnant sales and these new systems are coming right around the corner. They had their chance to get the edge, and it doesn't seem like they've capitalized.
I don't think it's going to be a matter of looking for an edge now. I think it's going to be a matter of when these new systems do come out, it's going to try to bracket itself in the affordability range, like the Wii did. Like it put itself down to a much more affordable range than the other systems. So it's going to be like do I want to spend $400 or $500 on this one, or oh hey, the Wii U just dropped in price by $100. Like that's half the price of these new systems.
Right.
I think it might go for that instead, and that's where it's going to start getting its sales.
So you're thinking that the sales will go up when the other systems come out because people will do a price comparison?
I think so. Well, if they start putting out the games, like if this E3 is good for Nintendo, and that factors in, then yeah, I think it's gonna.
I'm right along with Chris on this one. I think that their sales are going to go up. I think they've got pretty much guaranteed sales. In my opinion.
Sure. I mean, Nintendo has your money, on that end of it.
But I think that they're gonna maybe not hit Wii numbers. I'm not sure. I can't speculate on hitting Wii numbers, but they're gonna hit those types of numbers again. They're gonna.
I don't think it will.
I think they're gonna
comparatively to the next gen systems that are coming out.
I think they're gonna hit those. They're gonna hit those types of numbers where they're gonna be. Not right next to it. They're not going to beat it. They're going to come up on those numbers again.
They're not going to be in the leaderboards. I'll say that much.
Right, so
they're going to have to do a lot if they want to get back up there.
I think their affordability is what's honestly going to get it, and I think there's just a huge base that they don't want. There's a huge base of people that don't want the system necessarily that has 4 billion GPUs of whatever. They just want a system that's going to be able to play Mario, and that's all they're going to really want. And that's
the idea. Yeah.
I think there's going to be that group, and I think there's enough people like that are going to go out there and get the systems, and I think it's going to be fine. I don't think there's going to be a problem.
I guess then that leads into the next question that I was thinking about to myself today as I was doing the research on this. Out of the three, when it's all said and done, the smoke clears, and we're already looking to the next gen of consoles. Who do you think is going to be the one left in the dust, so to speak, on both sales numbers? The whole thing. I mean, who do you think is going to be the winner? Who do you think is going to be the loser out of this group?
Ask me again after E3.
Yeah, I was going to say pretty much the same.
Well, just speculative. Let's just say. I mean, I know
our pre-E3 speculative.
This is obviously we don't know.
And there's still one more Nintendo Direct, and there's another PlayStation
PlayStation.
What's PlayStation's conference called?
They're just together on the same day for E3.
No.
Oh, there's another one?
No, I thought they had one more.
As far as I know, they both Microsoft and Nintendo Microsoft and Sony only have their E3 conference.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind. I'm drunk. I just know there's a Nintendo Direct within 3 days of E3.
Yeah. It's the 11th, I think. It's a couple days.
Yeah.
After.
I just sincerely hope when they do this at E3, Nintendo, that is I'm speaking about. They're supposedly going to be announcing a lot of their big name titles that we've been waiting to see for the past, year, like new Smash Brothers, a new Mario. There's apparently this new Sonic game. A lot of titles that Nintendo just kind of goes back to their old, try and trues on. Which, don't get me wrong, that's not bad. I mean, I look forward to these games, especially the Smash Brothers one. I mean, my God, you have no idea how excited I was when they said that they were coming out with it. But I'm wondering if on this next gen here, if that's going to carry them all the way to the end. Like the Wii was a new and unique concept, having the motion control, and it was so cheap that people bought into it. This one with the pad, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to have the numbers that the Wii did.
Smash Brothers Melee was a GameCube seller.
Oh no, absolutely.
And it was a hard sell. So
yeah.
And I think the other thing is other people might look at it the other way. Me personally, I don't know if this is everybody, but this is I'm assuming if I'm like this, there's a decent segment that's like this. I would much rather have that pad than I would ever have the motion controls. The motion controls.
It's pretty much split. Like everybody's got their preferences. So.
I mean, I think that's just gonna get those sales too, is people wanting to do that. But
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
I was just gonna say here's my feeling about. Well, I guess this sort of delves into like going back to the PS4, like the current thing that's going on, the PS4 versus Xbox One debate, like how I feel about the Xbox One right now, like just one little segment of how I feel about it.
Okay.
One thing they announced was absolutely nothing from the previous generation is going to carry over. No hardware, no controllers, no accessories, nothing. I get a PS4. This is a controller already that I've got in my possession. Don't have to buy another one. This is my Wii U pad I've already got in possession. This is going to work on the PS4. I've already got one. Don't need to buy anything else. It's going to carry over. I get motion controls and a secondary screen.
And I completely and 110% agree with you on that. I think that is the weakest point of this whole Xbox thing. I cannot believe that they didn't do any sort of backward compatibility with it at all.
It's kind of got something going with smart glass, but considering that it's going to have so many devices you can connect to.
Before we say completely, I know they said that there's not going to be backwards compatibility. Isn't there a chance? I mean, literally, I'm not saying that they will do it or they won't do it. Isn't there a possibility of them being able to write an emulation software for you to download like we did with the Xbox 360?
Maybe. I mean, I guess unless they go the route of like the virtual console, like the Wii U.
Well, I'm saying purely, is there a piece of hardware in the 360 that allows for backwards compatibility? Do you know this, Chris?
I think it's software level.
I thought it was pure emulation. So
I think it's software level.
With them saying there's no backwards compatibility, my thought process went, yes, but there technically isn't with the 360 either, from what I understand. Maybe I'm a little wrong on this one.
I'm more meant on the hardware level, like controllers.
Right.
For sure.
But as far as software goes, Xbox, so far they've said no compatibility with 360 games, with Xbox Live Arcade games. None of them carry over. They've said that flat out. Is there a possibility it might change in the future? Absolutely. Anything can change. I think it's got the power to change.
Yeah.
And that's why I was bringing that up, is I think with emulation, they could write something that would happen. Because you got to imagine, if there's an outcry big enough, they're going to go, okay, all right, Team 4 over there, you guys are doing... You guys figure out some way to do an emulation on this so people can put those 360 discs back in there and run it.
It comes down to sort of like some of the bad press they're getting right now. They said flat out they're not going to do it. Like, they're not even saying we're going to try.
They're sticking to their guns on that.
Sony, when they had their conference, they were like, look, right now, as it stands, it's not happening, or it's not doable, or not launching with this ability, but we are trying our best to get that ability in place. Like, we want you to be able to play your old games on this thing, and we're going to try to get it. Right. So like, they said that they are at least putting effort into doing so, so that makes them, I don't know.
I guess, talking about the hardware backward compatibility, I think for me, on the Wii, the original Wii, or I shouldn't say the original Wii, the Wii, the fact that I could use my GameCube controller made all the difference in the world to me, because I got to be honest with you, I owned a few, not many, but a few Wii titles, and every single one of them, minus the ones like the Wii Sports, I used a GameCube controller.
I love that they allowed that. That was fantastic. That was the greatest idea ever. I think every console should do that.
Yeah.
Everything that has an option for motion controls should have the option for standard controls.
Yes, and that leads me to my point of the Wii U. My biggest one of my complaints with it so far. I bought it right away. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Nintendo guy. I love Nintendo. I collect Nintendo games. Everything from NES and SNES. I want to make that clear, just so everybody doesn't think I'm just whatever. My problem is that with the new system, I have this huge ass pad, and yes, it's kind of a cool concept, but it's a cool concept. When I go to play games like a Smash Brothers, there's 0.0% chance I'm doing anything other than using my the other controller I bought, the Pro controller. I bought a Pro controller specifically for Smash Brothers because you'll never catch me using anything else. And also the battery life on that pad is like 3 hours. It's been wildly frustrating when I have a group of people, and I'm like, hey, let's all play, Nintendo Land, and we all have fun. And then, like, 10 minutes into the thing, it's like, red light comes on. I'm like, hold on, let's get the guy with the pad.
The person with the pad has to switch over to the chair.
And then you can't pass it around and all this. And
like, you have to get, like, a long charging cable if you want to have a...
Yeah. The point I'm trying to make is this. With the backward compatibility, and able to use these, all that stuff, that's great.
Yeah.
When the standard stuff that's coming with the system here, with the pad and everything, I think that's going to drive down sales of the Wii U, and because people liked them. I shouldn't say everyone. A lot of people liked the idea of motion control, like that's why it sold so well, I think. But the idea of the pad, I don't know if it's going to work well as the Wii did.
Yeah, they could just solve this by doing a few relatively simple things. One, give more incentive to use the pad. Make every game playable remotely. Make every game use it in a significant way if you want to.
Sure.
But have the option. Don't require it, of course.
Yeah.
Like maybe even give a longer cable just so you can play it plugged in easy.
Yes.
Include a 30-foot cable, something like just include something ridiculously long for $3 extra that's going to come out of your pocket, Nintendo, and then maybe in the future consider including the Pro controller with the console.
Hey, Chris, that is too wacky of an idea. That'll never catch on.
I really don't think it will eventually. I think it might
eventually.
The box. But they might eventually do a bundle that ups the price $20, and I'd pay for it for the added controller.
Yeah, I bought 2 Pro controllers just so myself and one other person could actually enjoy Smash Brothers when it comes out, and all that. But
start bundling things more.
All right. Well, how about this? How about we get into a little bit more of a conversation about the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4?
Sure.
And kind of go through and do a head-to-head.
Okay.
What we think should happen, or what we think is going to happen, what we would like, or what we want. Let's start getting into those two. The Wii U's been out. We know kind of everything that's going on with that.
Yeah.
We're going to see the Nintendo Direct that has the games coming out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Xbox One conference, the reveal, and then we'll talk about what it does in comparison to the PlayStation 4.
Chris, I'm stretching real quick because I know this is where it's going to come in. You ready for this?
I'll say right off the bat, they are both lining up to do the exact same things. The exact same things. Microsoft just came out today saying, hey, if you're on Skype with a friend on your console, you can hand over control of the game to them. Sony just announced that too. How about that? All of these consoles are hardware-wise, they are dead similar.
Mm-hmm.
Save for the fact that one's got Kinect and one's got the Move controllers.
Right, which I have to say, the Move controller it is very, very accurate in comparison to the Wii Mote and stuff like that.
And it's just getting more accurate with the 1080p camera.
I guess this is the part where I make enemies, because this is the part where I'm going to have to go into my little notebook that and stuff and talk about a few things that I know are going to be very unpopular opinions. I have been, and I am pretty biased in this. I have to admit. I have been so wildly unimpressed with the PlayStation for the past 3 to 4 years. Mm-hmm. I got to be honest with you, and I'll tell you why. Admittably, right away, I want to make this clear. I didn't grow up with PlayStation, so I don't have that affinity for it. I grew up with Nintendo, I grew up with my Sega, and I just went out from there, and then I eventually got an Xbox as well. So I'm not speaking on this as a completely impartial party that has that the nostalgia for it. The past 4 years for me, watching the E3 conferences, it seems like either Nintendo or Xbox 360 has walked away with the title for the best showing at E3. PlayStation has came in dead last every year for me. I mean, and I took the time to write this stuff down because I wanted to. I don't want it to just sound like opinion. Obviously, it is, but I want to explain, myself a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I went through 2010, 2011, 2012 just to make it a little bit more relevant, the past few years, as I mentioned. In 2010, Nintendo actually had their first look at the 3DS. So that was a huge thing. And 3DS today, that's outsold the Wii U by light years. I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, I know, Craig, you have a 3DS, right?
Well, I mean, are you looking at combined sales from 2010 till now against the Wii U's 6 months ago till now?
I'm just saying in general, but the sales. There was an actual figure, and I didn't write it down, unfortunately, that actually...
Like percentage over time?
Yeah, percentages and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure I was clear on that. In that same year, that's when PlayStation did their PlayStation Move, and their big game, of course, is Metal Gear Solid. Now, Metal Gear Solid, that has a huge following. That's a great, that's a great game. I've seen clips from it. It looks awesome. I've never played it, but it looks great. Mm-hmm. I have no problem with that. But in that same conference, Nintendo announced their Kinect. So my problem is the lack of creativity on the part of PlayStation, where Nintendo goes, "Hey, we got motion control." So a few years later, what happens? Xbox took the idea and said, "Hey, no more controllers at all." And we're going to do this Kinect thing. And PlayStation Move said exact same thing. and that was part of my problem. So that's why I thought they came in dead last that year. They just kind of,
See, like a lot of people saw it like that. The way I saw it when it came out, I was like, okay, they took this technology that I really thought was a good idea, but I saw so many flaws in, and they near perfected it.
Oh,
like, they did what Nintendo was
accurate. Yeah,
and still hasn't done. Like they still use the standard Wiimote on the Wii U, like, and it's still just as inaccurate.
Yeah, no, even with the what's that called, the Wii Motion Plus or whatever it is, it's still not nearly as accurate as a PlayStation Move.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I'm not trying to like do that kind of comparison. I'm just saying that they didn't try to do anything new with it. They just they perfected an already existing product, and the lack of creativity was my problem with that year.
Okay,
I could see that. Yeah.
One of the big things for me is if you're not innovating, you need to perfect something. That's the two business models that you need to do. And in terms of a business view, you either have to be the best at something or you have to be the first one there.
Yep.
And that's what Sony did. And that's when you have a problem because you're like, oh, it's not creative. But they came out and they did something better than Nintendo did. They went, this is better. Ha, eat it. And that's exactly how it was. And I think that was a great business decision. You, on the other hand, Brian, you hate it.
I know. I didn't.
I loved it.
I wasn't.
I loved it. I personally would rather have a PlayStation Move than a Kinect. Even though I have a Kinect and I don't have a PlayStation Move. But the only problem is if I played just as many games on the PlayStation as I do on the Xbox, I would rather have a PlayStation Move. I play so many more games on the Xbox just based on how, for the longest time, how the network was, because I have both, how the network was for Xbox comparatively to the PlayStation network, which I consider, because I had Black Ops for both systems. I wanted to try it out. I had Black Ops for both systems, and I had more trouble playing games on the PlayStation network. There was laggy games. Everything was just really bad. And then I would play immediately on my Xbox and wouldn't have nearly as many problems. Am I saying there's not problems on both sides? No.
Oh, yeah.
But it just felt like the PlayStation Network was not there. And that was when I had PlayStation Plus, too. So I was paying for that extra service. I don't know if that really is going to help you out with connection problems. I don't know. Did I constantly just get, for 3 months straight, bad connections with bad games in Black Ops on the PlayStation? Maybe. But I'm just saying, I went over a 3-month period and I played both, and Brian's played both.
I have.
He only played it not nearly as much because he played my version, but there just was a definite problem. Hardware-wise, the game ran better on the PlayStation 3, in my opinion. But it doesn't matter if the online games... I play the games for the online play a lot, so if it doesn't run on that, then what's the point? Like, I don't care if the game runs better if you're sitting there going... or the other guy.
Yeah.
It's just... So, but for me, if I could have chose the difference between them, I'd rather have the PlayStation Move. The Kinect, I'm not a big fan of, truthfully.
I still want one, but at this point, considering they've already revealed the second one, I'm honestly just going to wait for the next gen. There aren't enough Kinect games on the original 360 to warrant getting it.
And please do not misconstrue what I'm saying, that I'm a big Kinect.
Oh, no, I understand.
I'm just saying, like, it just was one of those
that
things.
That was my original problem. Well, I mean, it still kind of is, but it's getting better. Like, my problem with both the Move and the Kinect, it just, like, not having either of them, it looked like they didn't put any support out for either of them. I saw barely any Kinect games worth playing. I saw barely any Move games worth playing. And I've looked into Kinect before getting it too, and I still don't see anything much worth getting.
Oh, yeah, no, there's nothing.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go into hammering the Xbox One conference. The Xbox reveal.
Yes.
Let's start talking about.
Skipping past the other conferences, I was only in 2010. I had 11 and 12 to talk about, but fine.
Can you summarize them pretty quick?
I'll summarize them really quick. The 2011 conference, the Wii U is announced, so Nintendo pretty much kind of was pretty big that year. A lot of 3DS games. Microsoft had Halo 4, COD, and a bunch of other games. New dashboard layout. Sony's big announcement was PlayStation Vita, but the number one thing that they talked about during their conference was their network hacking. That was the number one thing that they talked about, and that people took away from it. If you go online and look up to the 2011 Sony press conference, that's all anybody talked about.
I will say for the Nintendo conference really quick too, that was met with a lot of hostility because they were not clear whatsoever that the Wii U was even a new system. It looked like an expansion to the Wii, and that got a lot of bad press.
Right. Real quick, then, last thing is 2012. Obviously, Nintendo dominated that conference, it seemed, only because of the Wii U launch, talking about their new system. Anytime you have a new system, it kind of overshadows a lot of the other things at E3. Microsoft did their Smart Glass, which was, I thought, a pretty nice thing. Sony has their something mobile, right? What's theirs called? Something like
The
that.
mobile development.
Yeah,
stuff.
it's something semi-similar to the smart glass, but whatever. But anyway, other than that, there really wasn't too much to talk about on that end of it. The point is that I've just been very underwhelmed with the PlayStation on that end of it for
I
the
gotcha.
past few years at E3. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that. Don't get me wrong. I always I'd love to be proved wrong this year at E3, but we'll see.
This year, Nintendo or Microsoft and Sony have pretty much got the stage set up for them to both dominate,
Yeah.
and they've got to do it right this year because they both had massive console reveals. Now it's time to step it up with the games.
Yep.
So,
All right, it's time to pick
Yes.
apart the Xbox
Let's do
One
this.
yes, let's do
reveal
that.
conference. All right, Chris, go ahead. Tell us your main good points, your main bad points. Let us know what you're thinking, and then we're gonna pick you apart. Afterwards, we're doing the same thing with you, Brian.
Okay.
And then we're gonna do the same thing with me.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But Chris, you drew the short straw. You're going first.
Right off the bat, things I loved. I love the hardware. I think it had to be on par with the PlayStation 4's hardware, so that's fantastic that they're matching it in every single way. I love the new Kinect. I think it's great that they went with a full 1080 camera. It's going to be much more accurate, picking up muscle movement and like actual full-on limb control. It can pick up your eye movement. It can tell your heart rate from the blood in your face. I don't even know. It's just, I was really impressed by that. I think it's kind of cool that they're going to start doing more with smart glass. I hope it actually is as useful as it could potentially be. I think it's cool that there's a dog in Call of Duty. That's about where I draw my line with the games they showed.
Yeah.
All right, go with your disappointments. What were the things that you just were not happy with that they chose?
I get it. Sports. I understand. I get it. Please stop. I get it. Like, okay, that's cool. Like, sports. Fine. Sports fans are going to be happy about that. Except for, the MLB fans.
Actually, and NHL fans.
God, it's like the one game I would play too. Just I'm tired of both. Well, all right, Microsoft with their whole like, okay, this is your TV now. I got a TV. I don't want another TV. Like, I don't care that you can change channels to whatever you want and like talk to your Xbox to do it. And like, I don't. If I want to do that, I'll just press channel 7 on my remote. Like, it's just they're focusing too much on becoming integrated with like as an
all-in-one.
center. Like, everything is your Xbox now. Like, okay, cool. Please talk about games more. You're a game console. It's in your title. Like, you're not a media center. But that was like the biggest thing is they just focus so much on it playing television and doing useless crap that everybody can already do. It's like when they announced. It's like when every time a next-gen console comes out, they're like, oh, and it'll play DVDs. Like, I've had a DVD player for a decade.
Yeah.
Like,
All right,
I was like, yeah, that's about it.
Brian, let's go over your main great points, your main bad points.
I'll start with the bad points, actually. I hate the fact that it's not backward compatible with both games, with hardware, with anything. I think that's a very bad move in general. I mean, I have a lot of 360 games that I would love to play on, but I don't, I don't have to, have my 360 ready, bring it out, plug it in if I ever want to play those games again. It's just, silly that you don't, you're not able to do backward compatibility for at least 360. I'm not even asking for like original Xbox games. That's my number one biggest complaint. Other complaints are, and this one right here is just so unbelievably small. It's just, it's very plain, but I don't need it to be anything fancy. So it's kind of like a neutral point, really. It's a very plain box, but then again, I bought it to play games, not to look at. So, other than that, my other negatives were the pay to, and they didn't really announce this at the thing, but it kind of went in tandem. You have to pay if you're going to be doing any sort of taking somebody else's disc. There's no resale on that, and I think that's a big deal that you can't. That you have to do a fee, one-time fee for that. I think that's very silly. Other than that, the positives that I did enjoy. I currently own an Xbox. I like my Xbox. I have my online account already through them, my Microsoft or whatever that is, the Xbox Live account, and I want it to carry over. So there you go. That's it's comfortability. It's a system that I'm already invested in, so to speak. A lot of the game franchises that I like are going to be on it, and for me, one of the biggest pieces, and I know Craig always laughs at me, but one of the biggest pieces is the controller. I love the new controller, especially the new D-pad.
Absolutely.
I think that was one of the biggest downsides of the Xbox 360 controller, which for the most part is one of the better controllers out there. Not as good as this one, still the best. The GameCube controller is still by far the Wavebird. It's my favorite. It's my favorite, but this new one looks like it's pretty cool. So, Craig.
All right, my points that I loved, and this is basically going to directly refute some of Chris's things. The conference itself, I loved. I was not going into it going, show me all of your games. I knew they were revealing the new Xbox, and that's what I was expecting. I was not expecting them to go, here's this game, and then this game, and then this game, and then this game, and then this game, and this game. That's E3. That's a separate conference. I wasn't even worried about that. If they'd have been like, guess what? You see no new games, I'd be perfectly content. I knew that's what that conference was going to be about. I knew it was going to be about the new hardware, and they weren't going to delve into anything else. I was actually surprised they actually went into games. Mm-hmm. And showing, I knew they were going to have to show something off a little bit, so I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Going into the Call of Duty, showing the new renders, how everything looks on it. But to me, I knew from the very get-go this was a reveal for the console, and it was not a reveal for their title launch. Or any of the titles that they're going to be producing. They're going to wait for E3 to show any of that, or later. And that's one of the other things Brian doesn't like me about. I don't really care about E3 all that much. I see the games. I'm like, cool, you're showing me in-game renders of videos. I want to see a gameplay, a third party. I don't trust people when they're showing off their stuff. Because guess what, Brian, you're trying to sell me a couch. You're going to tell me that's the best fucking couch I've ever had.
You better believe it.
I want somebody that has that couch to tell me how it is. I want, IGN to take a look at the game. I want somebody else to look at it. That's why, E3, I like seeing it because I go, okay, these are things that I'm going to start looking up to see what other people thought about it. So I can honestly go through E3 and not watch a single thing, and it wouldn't bother me. Especially this year with both consoles already having their, both companies having their consoles already out, and all it's going to be is mainly games. That's what I'm happy about. Is that they can go through and do that. And I don't even necessarily have to watch it. I don't care. Brian loves the big presentations.
I love it.
I would rather just have a guy in a corner typing on Twitter going oh, there's new Halo coming out. That's all I care about.
My reports you get.
I'm gonna wait for a third party to tell me how it goes. I love the integration with everything. I actually do. And Chris, this is again refuting directly with what you said. I love that this thing's going to take control of everything. Again, maybe it's because I am that sports fan. Is that a big thing? Yes. One, I don't really care about football or basketball, and that's what they focused on the most part of. But even if it went into, hopefully they go into baseball and that, for me, that'd be great. But the integration of everything, I want to be able to snap that up there, and so I have a game on and something else going, or be able to snap that up there, or maybe they're doing some kind of connective thing with Xfinity or with Charter or with DirecTV to where maybe that becomes your new box. So instead of me having to pay $20 a month to have a cable box in my room to watch TV, I can have the Xbox that I already own. Is that a pipe dream? Maybe. I don't know. You can already use these types of features with apps on the Xbox 360 right now, and I believe they're on the PlayStation 3 as well.
Yeah.
I love that part. I loved it. I love being able to do
voice
that.
Command, did you like that?
Voice command?
Yeah.
Don't really care.
Okay,
that's not a big deal to me. Whatever. I thought the funny thing I saw somebody go is the big problem is when your roommate walks in and goes Xbox off right in the middle while you're playing. I thought that was kind of funny. But the biggest disappointments were them not directly addressing not backwards compatibility. Not directly addressing if you were going to be able to do doing used game sales, if that was basically that market was going to be crashed out, and
always online.
The always online thing. And the always online thing they skated around. They truly did, because they came out with an article later. I can't remember where I read it at. But they came out with an article saying that the console will not require it, but the publisher of the game can.
Exactly.
So basically, they're pushing the blame onto Bungie says you have to be always online. We didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And the other thing that made me wonder about that also was the fact that I don't even know who the money would go to on that part. The used game sales, where would that go? Does that go to the publisher? Does does 50% of it go to Microsoft themselves? I don't know. I honestly don't know the splits of that.
When you're done, I want to go into that.
Okay, and I would love to see that, but with them going, no, you don't have to be always online if you're using our console, but Activision says you need to be. That's the part that kind of bothers me. All right, you guys are just pushing the blame somewhere else, and you're making the publisher or whoever it is, they're going to be the ones that look bad on that. The other negative, not even slightly negative, I'm completely neutral about. I'm just trying to pick on other points that you guys are bringing up. The Xbox look.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, it's
It could be it could be a pyramid for all I care. It's just
frankly, I joke.
It's gonna sit in a corner anyways. I'm just gonna sit it over there, and I'm never gonna look at it.
Yeah.
I don't really care. So
I joke for the sake of joking. I don't care either. Okay, can I really? Or are we all set to?
go into it.
Okay, I will address two of the biggest controversies that this conference had, as far as the always online thing. Yes, they announced it. You don't have to be, or that they will not require connection. The reason that they're leaving it up to developers is developers have the option of using the Azure cloud system.
Yep.
It's not so much even for like game saves and like backing up the actual game content itself.
It's for processing.
It will actually process the game
exactly.
more than the system can.
Exactly.
So you can offload processing power to this cloud.
Right.
So if the game requires more, they're saying that they will opt to use it. But they're also now talking about, I read an article today that said they're trying to find a way to dynamically allow games to adjust based on whether or not you're connected. So even if you do drop connection, the game will adjust accordingly. So it might dumb itself down temporarily until you can reconnect, but not still require you to be connected. So it looks like they're trying to like recover that ground and get it so it will still work, even if the game requires it when you drop. So that's kind of nice to hear that they're trying to figure out solutions to these concerns that we're all having.
Right.
And with the used games thing, they did announce also today that there will be they will allow for trade-ins, they will allow for used games and everything. They are going to talk more about it later, so I'm sure they might still pull something out of their ass to surprise us with. But
here's hoping.
I don't mean in a good way. But they also did say that the profits, or at least some of them, will, like 100% of used game profits right now go to the store that sells the used game. 100%. Microsoft is going to start taking some of the profit from these used game sales. That is the big thing. They are going to try to take some of the profit. So how they go about doing that, I don't know. But they are going to allow for used games, and they are going to monopolize used games.
That sucks, especially considering.
Oh God.
Yeah. As somebody who as you know, I collect older games. I kind of I go to the stores and everything else, and those stores they're fading.
Yeah.
I've talked to many of the owners, and they said that the business is dying, and in a few years, when everything goes to digital downloads, it's going to be, those kind of stores will be shutting down. And you have to, and that's no fun for me. I like to go to the stores. I don't like to shop. You can shop online and try to find a cart, sure, but then you never hold it or see it or before you buy it. I don't know.
Even GameStop. If you've heard the news about GameStop since the Xbox's reveal.
Sure
their stock dropped 19% since the reveal.
Oh my God!
19%.
Wow.
Good thing.
So they are not in a good spot right now because of Microsoft.
That's just.
Yeah.
That's awful.
And I knew GameStop was going to get hit hard with that, and I'm trying to imagine.
I think
already
Microsoft is doing this intentionally.
Yeah.
At this point,
Yeah.
Continue. Sorry.
Well, no, they really. As a business model, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, are they going to be popular for it? No, but they could really. Even if they're unpopular, they could increase their profits from something like that dramatically by cutting out a GameStop or these used game sellers. I guess the one bad thing for me, I guess it's not even a bad thing. It's just how I am. Holding the physical copy of the game, don't really care. I'd rather have a hard drive with 70 games on it than have 70 discs on it. That it's more efficient, and I don't really care about the discs.
I go where I can get the game cheaper. If it's a game I can get cheaper online, I get it online. If I see it in store for cheaper than online, I get it in store.
Oh God,
that's what it comes down to.
What Craig just said hurt my very soul.
I'm talking from like Xbox 360 and on.
Oh,
I'm not necessarily talking about you old. 64,
I'm talking like
because that wasn't an option.
Well, that wasn't. They have the what is that called? Virtual console stuff now, which
it's different than what I'm talking. I'm talking about like, okay, I'm gonna go out and buy Halo 5. I could give a shit if I have a disc. Yeah. I'll just download it, whatever.
I can. Well, yeah.
I'm saying, me personally, from the Xbox actually on discs, discs bother me.
Yeah, no, discs. I'm talking about carts.
Carts are a little bit different, but carts have a nostalgia, so I can't.
I was gonna say, as far as nostalgia goes, I'd rather have them.
I can't accurately talk about carts because I'd obviously rather have a cart than the other thing. But that's just because I grew up with it, and
Yeah.
that's what you'd want. But
Yeah.
From there on out, from when I'm at an age of actual reason and on, I'd rather have an efficient hard, like already pre-installed on a hard drive.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's a little different. Like,
Yeah. And the other bad thing about it too is the only thing I ever really use GameStops for, in all truth, is 90% of it is pre-orders for new games, and then 10% is using the GameStop rental service, where I go and I get the game used, and then I return it within 7 days and never pay anything for it. Other than that, like, 'cause I don't go through and I really don't play games.
I hope no one from GameStop is watching this. They just blacklisted you so hard. Like, don't let this man in.
They fully know about it. They know exactly what it is. I talked to one guy and he said they had somebody come in every week on Sunday afternoon, trade in the game and buy a new one every single week, and he never paid a dime for him. Technically, long run. But that's the one thing for me is I don't buy a lot of games. I truly don't buy a lot of games. The last outside. What was the last game I went into GameStop?
Probably Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed. It was last October. Was the last time I bought a game.
Yeah.
MLB in March.
MLB. You're right. Yes.
My MLB 13. I bought that in March.
$5 games.
But you got.
Before that was Assassin's Creed, and the Halo was right around that time too. And then before that, it was another 4 or 5 months before that. I don't buy a lot of new games.
I don't buy new games. 98% of the games I buy are used or on Steam sale.
Right.
I just don't buy new.
I only buy games that I know I'm gonna enjoy right off the bat. I might every once in a while. Obviously, I take a dive and try something new, but
yeah,
for the most part, I'm gonna go through and I'm buying the games that I like. I know I'm gonna like, and that's why I've read reviews on other people's stuff.
Something you're going to hang on to forever.
Yeah, and the Batman games.
Yeah.
Honestly, the first Arkham Asylum took a chance on that one.
Yeah.
And I was really happy I did. And I just heard people say it was good, but you know how superhero games has turned out lately, for the most part, and then that ended up being good. So but for the most part, so it's one of those things I can see from other people's views. To me, it's not going to affect me that much. So I'm sitting there going, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy probably 2 games a year, so 2 or 3 games a year maybe. So $160. Yeah. That's about what I'm sitting about every year.
And in the same sort of vein of that, this upcoming year, I wait for E3 every year, basically to plot out my buying. I mean, that's what I do. Is at E3 I watch the entire show, beginning to end. I don't even own a PlayStation, but I watch their conference because I don't hate PlayStation. I want to make that very clear. I know I've said some negative things about them, but I don't hate them at all. I own Sony products, obviously. It's just when I watch it, I kind of make up my little checklist as to what I'm going to buy for the year. Say, Nintendo had these 3 games. I'm like, oh, sweet, I'm going to get Smash Brothers and Kirby and whatever else. And then Xbox, I'll be like, sweet new Halo, and actually this year it'll be Destiny is the big one for that, and that's the only game this year I know right now that I'm going to be getting for
Grand Theft Auto 5.
I bought 4 thinking because I bought 3 initially, and I enjoyed 3 a decent amount, but I really enjoyed it because me and my buddy Matt played it a ton. Only to realize that when I look at it now, I barely played it, and I watched Matt play it. And then I bought 4, and I got about 7 missions in and never played it again. I was like, yep, I'm done with the Grand Theft Auto series. I really don't enjoy them.
Yeah, okay.
That's something you don't hear often. I did play Vice City. My brother had a PlayStation 2, and that was one of the few games I love Vice City. That game was cool. I said that was the first time I had actually really even gotten to play a Grand Theft Auto game before, and I got the Molotov cocktail. And I was throwing it at cars. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Isn't that one of the other reasons why that it ends up making you where you can't play on PlayStation all that much is the controller?
Yeah, that's the number. Actually, that might be my number 1. Dead serious. I know it's going to sound weird.
It is weird, but go ahead.
The PlayStation controller is the most messed up controller I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
I swear to you, Chris, it hurts my hand to hold.
The only complaint I know about is the fact that the thumbsticks are so close together that you're
the thumbsticks are too close together. They move in a weird way. The D-pad is higher. It's higher, and I don't like the setup of that. The triggers drive me up a wall you wouldn't believe. I hate the triggers with a fiery pad. R1 and R2, or R1 and L1 are fine, but R2 and L2, forget it. Those triggers don't feel like triggers. They feel like, and the controller is so small. Like in my, like I feel like I'm palming it.
But you're giant. It
doesn't contour to my hand at all.
See,
I don't know. I can't stand PlayStation controllers.
I've been with PlayStation since it came out, so I guess I've just gotten used to it and grown to love it. But like this short of the Super Nintendo controller, because nothing to this day trumps the Super Nintendo controller. This is my perfect controller. If I could use this for everything, I would.
See,
like, this is just like, and the new one that's coming out for the PS4 looks even better.
See, and to give you an idea of how bad it is, I would rather use a Dreamcast controller over a PlayStation any day of the week.
Yeah,
that's how bad it is.
The Xbox,
for me, it's definitely the PlayStation controllers. They're second on my list. The things that I don't like about it are the things that I don't like about the PlayStation controller is just the I'd rather have the thumbsticks be concave on the top, and I'd rather the triggers be a little bit different. The L2 and R2, those two things.
Thankfully, they're fixing both of those problems with both the Xbox One and the PS4. They've finally realized that concave is the way to go, like really concave.
Yeah, and that's what I want. And actually, I went through and I've got Brian seeing it. I bought tips that I put on my PlayStation controller when I play that make them concave.
Yeah.
And then I just can't fix it. I can't fix the triggers.
Yeah. They have extendable ones.
I guess for me, and also those low thumbsticks the way they are, and then to hit the buttons, since my thumb is lower than my fingers, it's impossible for me to hit the buttons the way you're like I don't know. It's just.
Honestly,
for me, it's a garbled mess. I don't know.
If the PlayStation controller had the offset like joysticks, I think it would be perfect. Like that's the one thing in my mind that's possibly holding it back. If it had the offset, I think I'd like it a little bit better. But
I guess I've just grown up with both, so it doesn't bother me either way.
That's kind of but
I bought I always had friends that had the PlayStation. And I bought the PlayStation and the GameCube are the only two systems I never had.
And which is my personal favorite controller is the GameCube controller, Wavebird specifically. But anyway, sorry.
From there on out, like after the PlayStation, I have the PlayStation 2, pretty much on launch. Xbox, pretty much on launch. And from there, so like
wait, you had the Xbox, the Beast one, right?
Oh, the Duke.
The Duke.
Oh,
yeah,
I played with the Duke competitively. You don't remember me? I would bring the Duke.
I forgot you did.
I played with the Duke competitively. When we did Halo 2 competitively, I played with the Duke.
No human being should ever use that controller.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's the first time I played on Xbox was a kiosk that had the original Halo set up with the Duke. I was like, Jesus Christ! I loved it, but it was like ridiculous.
I felt like it was an American product.
I can't go back to it now because I've played so much with the 360 controller, which is by far my favorite controller. The thing that bothers me about the GameCube is not the way it feels; it's all the buttons on the right. They're goofy.
I love that.
It's the A and then the B off to the left, and then the Y and the X. That it bothers me. I'm like,
And the thing is, what I figured is that everybody has their favorite. Everybody has ones that they can't stand for whatever reason, whether it's they grew up with it or they just, it just doesn't work, because legitimately my hands hurt when I use PlayStation controllers. They actually physically hurt. So, if I'm getting physical pain, I'm not going to like the controller. It's
he
one of
also
those
holds
things.
it goofy. I've watched him hold it. He holds it like a Neanderthal.
No, I hold it like I would any other controller.
Is my PlayStation controller out here?
I don't think it is.
I'm going to grab it real quick.
Okay, you grab that and I'll show you. But anyway, the point is that the PlayStation controller is just not for me, and that's just how that goes. But Chris, I wanted to ask you, speaking of the PlayStation and all that, I wanted to talk to you about since they had the two conferences, and you were able to do a side-by-side comparison. What did you think of the conferences themselves? Because me personally, just the shortest thing I could tell you about it. The PlayStation venue was way cooler. Speaking, I think that
it was a little more natural.
Yeah, and I say that all was great and everything. That didn't feel as whatever. The downside is that the PlayStation one was over 2 hours long, and
I could watch that forever though. I'm a sucker for these reveals and for these conferences and E3 and the entire.
Oh no, I love E3 too. Don't get me wrong, but it's just it was 80% of a console reveal was them showing off games, and I'm like, show those at E3. I want to see your console. They didn't even show me what it looked like.
Well, they're getting there.
Yeah, no, I know. I was just curious, what you thought of that whole...
No, I thought it was, I had my likes and my dislikes for both conferences, but the Sony conference was far superior to me.
It just doesn't make sense.
I like that they showed a lot of games too, and they also focused on the tech side.
When you hold it, it digs into your palms like this, and I try to do this, or if I try to hold it up here like you guys do,
Perfect.
it hurts.
Perfect in the palm. Like this part of it just sort of conforms.
It just does not feel natural at all.
Yeah.
But anyway,
He
was sorry, Chris. He was like while you were talking there. I didn't mean to interrupt. He was just showing the.
And then I'll show you how a normal person holds a controller. You put the things right. You put both little pieces right in there. You play like this.
Yeah, I tried that. That hurt too.
You want to
I can do it this way. In Brian's controller, you put right there. You put this right there, and you play like that.
Chris,
Perfect.
we're giving tutorials on how to hold controllers. This is become a Let's Play.
Tomorrow holds a controller.
And same thing right here.
Separately in each hand. You got your joystick in this one, and you're aiming in this one. Done.
Done.
All right. Final thoughts on what we think is going to be happening here at E3. We know. Let's do this. Let's just say that the Nintendo Direct conference that's happening beforehand is clumped in with E3. So if Nintendo wins E3, it's because their conference at Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, we'll do a first,
we're gonna do it
second,
that way.
third. Chris, you lead us off.
So where am I going exactly with this? Like what I think is going to happen, or what I want to happen?
Both. Well, tell us how you think it's going to happen. Tell us how you think it's going to happen, and who you think is going to win it.
And who's going to bomb, if anyone?
I think if Microsoft and Sony both, I don't know, like they've got so much potential to do great with all their game reveals, but so much potential to just bomb it. If they show like the crappiest stuff and they have no big titles coming out, I want to hear their launch lineups. I want to hear both of their launch lineups. I want them to have a strong launch lineup, and I want to hear about the next year, like the next 20 or 30 games that are coming from them the next year. To give us incentive to want either one or the other. And then Nintendo pretty much just has to nail it with like a ton of wonderful games coming out for the Wii U and the 3DS. I think Nintendo has the potential to win it if the other two bomb it, but one or the other is going to do a really great job.
All right, give us your 1, 2, 3. Who's winning it? Who's second?
It's
who's
all
third?
speculative. Just go ahead and guess.
From first to third, Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft.
Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft. Okay.
Right. I'll go next, Brian. I
go.
won't put you on the hot seat right now. I think this year with this, with what I've seen so far, Microsoft is going to end up winning this one because they've got the new IPs that they haven't talked about, and that's what excites me. Kind of is they said they have like 15 new, 15 IP. What was it? 15 new, or was it 8 were brand new?
Eight were brand new titles that
have
never been.
Yeah, 7 or 8 were going to be brand new titles.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that they're going to go through and release that information, at least like a decent amount of them going, dude, here's some cool stuff coming out that's going to be exclusive. That's what it was. 15 exclusives
That's what it
are going to be
is.
available within the first year launch.
And then
7 or 8 of them are going to be brand new IPs. I think they're going to go through and they're going to release a bunch of those, and they're going to show us some of the new stuff that's coming out. And it's going to be huge for them this year. And I think, honestly, I'm going to go through. I'm going to say Sony is going to be right on their tail because they're going to have something very similar to that. They're going to be showing off more of their hardware, showing off the system itself a little bit more, and then they're going to come away with. I think those two are going to be really close, right at the top. And I think Nintendo Direct, they just have not been impressing me lately. It just hasn't been big. They've been showing. I really enjoy that they've been showing off all the different things. I'm hoping that they come away with a bunch of new Wii U games coming out. I think that's going to be for me, the big draw is going to be that, and that's how I'm going to be judging on is the Wii U games that they're going to announce. Yeah. So we're talking about like in theory, a new Zelda, a new this, a new that. We already know about Pikmin 3. Talking about a new Smash Brothers. I want to hear those types of things.
Bring back the old games, yeah.
So I want to see that, and not just the HD remake of Wind Waker. Like, I want to see some of the new stuff they got coming out, and I feel like...
Which I will be getting, but that's beside
I just can't tell. I just feel like I can't tell a lot of the stuff. I can't see. It's all going to be basically exclusives that are going to kill it for me. And I just, with Microsoft having the exclusives, they've already announced, like, hey, we've got these, we're ready for it. And it kind of made me like, well, hey, they're actually doing it, and they're not trying to be cryptic with, like, hey, and guess what? We might have something for you. They're like, we got 15 in the first year, 8 of them are going to be brand new, or 7 of them are going to be brand new. And the other ones, I just don't know how they're going to go with it. So I think it's going to be a close race between the top two of Microsoft winning it, Sony being right on their ass, and then Nintendo is going to be lagged off. Not a ton behind, but I just don't think they're going to come out and show me anything.
Yeah. And then I'm going to go ahead and jump in the last little bit here. Mine, obviously, after this whole thing there, everybody's going to think that I'm going to say PlayStation would lose it, but I'm going to kind of throw a curveball at this and start at the bottom, work my way up. I think that actually Nintendo might lose it this year for the reason of they're not revealing a new console. The problem is that when you're going up against such big news as new consoles and new, stuff coming out, Nintendo, by comparison, is like, our stuff's already out and we're just revealing games. Now, that is not to say that they couldn't surprise everybody and knock it out of the park with a bunch of awesome games. But that's all they have to rely on at this point, is that they're going to go back to their standard, regular, properties. They're going to go, all right, if you like Super Mario 3, here's a new Mario. And you're like, cool, but I've seen this for the past 20 years. You know what I mean? They need to really knock it out of the park with the games. And not the 3DS game that they've been falling back and relying on for the past few conferences. I think they're relying too much on their handhelds, and they need to do console stuff for this year. I really hope that they do that. But I think they're going to come in last just because I don't think they're going to deliver what I'm hoping for. Smash Brothers, though, obviously, that's going to be my game of the conference because I love Smash. But next, I'm going to have to say PlayStation hits the middle, once again, kind of similar to Craig, because they're going to be so similar in the quality of the product. They're going to have similar graphics, similar, the smart glass versus mobile. They're going to have a lot of the same features and that sort of thing. But I think that based on what I've seen already at the Microsoft conference, I think that the Xbox is going to have a little bit more of those features that I'm looking for. And the all-in-one thing is really, really nice. Actually, at the very beginning of the PlayStation conference, their first things that they said is, we're here to not be your all-in-one, or we don't want to take over your living room. We want to be just about the games, which is good. Obviously, it's important to have your games. Mm-hmm. But if the other console has the games and can do your living room, which draws in more of a crowd, they're going to win. So that's why I'm going to have to say Xbox might have the show this year. Plus, they tend to bring in a lot of not that it's all about the celebrities and stuff, but at the same time, they put on a good show. Let's put it that way. So we're just gonna have to wait and see, obviously. But that's my prediction for this year. I'm sure afterward we're gonna have another one of these little kind of round table things and say, I was so off.
That's gonna be interesting to see how close we were, or how off we were.
The real question is, am I going to be wearing a dunce hat in the next, when we do that and saying I was so off, Nintendo was the best?
I sincerely hope, to be completely honest, that we are all absolutely wrong. I hope all of them come out on top.
I hope that they nail it, man.
I hope we're just like, that is the best E3 I've ever seen. Everybody was wonderful. I'm going to buy everything. So.
It's all flowers and kittens and rainbows.
Second Marvel, take it.
Yeah. No. But that's what this all comes down to, is that we all love games. I mean, yes, we sit here and debate and say, oh, I think PlayStation's better. Oh, I think Nintendo's better. But at the end of the day, we all just are gamers, and we all love our game systems. And I just hope that these guys treat us right. You know what I mean? And just aren't just after the money. So
yes, they need to pay attention to their consumers. That's all.
Exactly.
They very much do.
Because that's what we're here for, is to have fun.
And you, as our viewers consuming this video, we thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us for this extended conversation that we had today.
It was a big topic.
If you got a topic for us to discuss, let us know. We'll do that as soon as we possibly can for you, and put it up on for our show here for us. So from 11th Moon, Craig here with Brian, and we got Chris over there. Make sure to check us out. Check all of us out. We go through and we do videos here on 11th Moon. Yep. We also have our 11th Moon 2 on YouTube, which we do our gaming channel. We got to check us out on live stream, which is www.twitch.tv/11ocean. Right now, we're making the switch over to another channel. We're going to be switching over to the 11th Moon Twitch channel. And also, Chris, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
Your Twitch account is Naryeti, Naryeti, correct?
Yep, I'm pretty much Naryeti everywhere now. So Twitch, Twitter, YouTube.
All right, well, this will be one of the last times you see him as Strike Fear 13 on this, then, if he's switching over to completely to Naryeti. But all the links will be down in the description below if you want to check out any of our other channels, or check out our streams. Follow us all on Twitter. Follow 11th Moon on Twitter. Follow everything.
Tweet at us. Leave comments. We see it all. We
like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah. feel free to subscribe wherever it is now that they put it. They change it every other week.
Yeah.
Make sure to come back. Comment. Let us know what you want us to discuss next time on the next
Absolutely.
conversation that we have together. Everybody, thank you.
Thank you very much.